Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I've been showing some most of the summer anyway, that I'm calling Fast and Beautiful. And they're cards that let the DSP do most of the heavy lifting for us, and so they're not terribly difficult to put together, but the impact is still quite great. So let me show you what you need to make this card. It's actually pretty simple and pretty fast. I have a piece of Whisper White that's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of Pool Party, and my Pool Party is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Then I have another piece of Whisper White, and this piece is 4 by 4 3/4. Then I have a piece of this beautiful DSP, one of my very favorites. Let me see if I can tell you what paper stack that comes out of. It comes out of the Whole Lot of Lovely Designer Series paper, and if you go on the website right now, in October, you can get, if you order 3 packages of Designer Series paper, there's certain ones of them, you get a 4th one free. So there's some really lovely bargains over at Stampin' Up! Right now. And this piece of DSP needs to be 4 inches by 2 3/4, and then you need a piece of scrap DSP to fussy cut out some flowers, and I have a piece of Pool Party here that is 6 inches by 1/2 inch. So let's just get started, and I'll show you exactly what I've done to make this card. And let's start by putting our cardstock, our card base together, if you will. And we're going to start by folding and burnishing our card base. And I like to fold that nice and hard so my card stays shut. Then we have this piece of Whisper White, and this piece measured, let's see, it was 4 inches by 4 3/4. So it's just short of the layering for this piece, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that. The first thing we're going to do is measure this 2 1/2 inches. Let me make sure I'm right on that. 2 1/2 inches from the left-hand side of the page, and I'm just going to put a little tiny pencil mark there. And then on this side of the page, I measured down 3 inches and marked there. And then across the bottom, this is a 4-inch wide piece of paper, so we want to put a little mark at the half point. All right, now I'm going to bring up my paper trimmer, and I'm going to put one of those marks right in the cutting track, and then the center piece at the bottom here. And let me make sure I didn't move that. Okay, and I'm just going to slice that piece away. Then I'm going to go back from the center up to this other point, which was 2 1/2 inches down, and there we've got our interesting little piece. I've been obsessed with angles this week, so we'll probably end up with a couple of them that use different kinds of angles, just removing my pencil marks there. And what we're going to do is take our Designer Series paper here that we cut, and I'm going to set that on this piece of Pool Party here, and then I'm going to fit this piece over the top, and that's going to create a full piece for us that will nest on this piece of pool party. So I'm going to start by placing, let me see, using a little bit of snail to get this piece, and I'm only putting snail on 3 sides here because I want to get this piece set with exactly the margin I'd like to have on the 3 sides here. There we go. And then I can go ahead and put my snail on this piece and get it set in place underneath here with that same margin on the bottom, and the 2 pieces should marry up, providing I'm reasonably straight. There we go. And now I can add a little bit of snail on the bottom of this piece just to kind of tack it down into place. And there I've got my layers done on my top piece, as you can see on here. Now, the only thing I'm going to change up this time is I'm going to move this sentiment up a little bit right over here, and I'm going to put a much larger thank you on the inside. So let me tell you about the stamp sets that I'm using. I am using the Floral Phrases stamp set, and I'm using this sentiment for all the thoughtful things you do, and that's this one here. And then from the Daisy Delight set, I'm using this much larger thank you. Instead of putting it here, I'm going to put it on the inside of the card. And also on the inside of the card, I put a piece along the bottom and then fussy cut some more of the flowers to kind of peek in behind that. So we'll be doing that, and I'll show you what I did to do that. Okay, so now we've got our piece here, and I think the next thing I want to do is the stamping to make sure that we get that here where we want it, and then we can place our flowers after that. So I have our archival black ink here, and I have my stamp mounted here for all the things you do, and I'm going to take a little piece of scratch paper here and stamp that one time just to make sure that I've got the right kind of ink. It's right side up and it's relatively straight. Yeah, I think that'll work just fine. So in this case, I'm going to put this right up about here. For all the thoughtful things you do. There we go. And then I will go ahead and stamp the inside of the card with my much larger thank you stamp. This one's photopolymer, so I'm going to need my Pierce mat to give it a little bit of support. And it's a pretty big stamp, so I am going to practice that one time here before I put it down, just to make sure that it's appropriately inked up. And it wasn't, so I think with this one, being extra careful on the ink is probably pretty important. There we go, that's a lot better. And so I'll ink that up and then put this in place, and I'm going to put a very large thank you on the inside, right in the center. And because it's a big stamp, I'm going to put pressure right down the center of the stamp all the way across without rocking the stamp, just in case I got any ink on the edges, and till I'm pretty sure I've got a good impression, and then pick up. And there we go. With these large stamps, it's pretty important that you make sure you're really inked up and then put pressure all along it to get a good image. Okay, this piece is now ready to be layered on our card front. I told you, other than the fussy cutting, this card is just as simple as anything, and yet I think it's lovely. It's got a wonderful, different kind of look to it, and the impact is pretty nice. So I'm going to set this down to try and get a margin all the way around. I love the way the pool party picked up the blue flowers in this paper. I think it's very attractive. And I have already cut a couple of flowers out ahead of time just to save some time on the video. But I have two pieces here, one here and one that I still have to fussy cut out of my regular paper. And let's see, I think I'm going to choose this one. It's not a full flower, but I've got two full ones, and my guess is I can tuck this underneath at some point and get right down here to the flower. In fact, I'm going to cut this piece off to make it a little easier to get to. So I'm going to capture that leaf and this blue flower up here, and maybe this green leaf down here in the corner. We'll see if that works to keep that there. So there I've got my 3 leaves for fussy cutting, and what I can do is, since this one isn't complete, move it down here so that I can layer these additional flowers on top of that flower. I'm thinking maybe that one might be best in the corner, with this one let's see, maybe tucking in down there, and this one underneath here. I think I'm going to have to take off some of the leaves on this one in order for this to look right. So if I put that one there, put this one in here, and layer this one underneath here, I think that'll give me the look I want here on the front of the card. Okay, I might just stick these in back behind to fill in. Yeah, I think that looks good. All right, so I'm going to put my ink away before I put my arm in it. And what I'm going to do is just put some dimensionals, and I'm going to use a combination of the larger dimensionals, our normal dimensionals, where I can, and then I'm going to fill in with the mini dimensionals. Okay, so it's amazing how much time it takes to manipulate dimensionals. So that is the outside of the card, and I just see some little rougher edges here where I fussy cut. and just cleaning those up a little bit. And then I started to cut this piece, and I thought I would show. And this one I'm cutting right up against the flower and coming across here. And this one's for the inside, and we'll look at that again. And I thought here that one that kind of starts a little bit bigger along the edge and then gets smaller serves my purpose, and I'll show you why in just a second. And again, I'm going to cut this larger piece off here, and I'm just going to go around these last couple of leaves here, and then I'm just going to take that down and taper it off. Now, on this one, on the inside, I put my strip so that it went across the fold. So I actually, I cut this 6 inches by 1/2 inch, and I scored this at 4 1/4 because I wanted this piece on the inside to butt right up against the edge of the card and have its fold be at the same place the inside of the card is and go past the end. So I'm going to put a little bit of snail on the back of this piece, and I am only putting it on the bottom half of that, and I'm going to set it so that it's got a tiny margin on the bottom, butts right up to the edge and matches the fold in the card. And I think that adds just a little bit of a different look, and you'll see now that this piece is just going to tuck up against or butt up against this piece here, and that's why I cut the flowers to just fit. So I'm going to add some snail here on this piece, all along the edges, because I want this to sit down flat. And I'm going to make sure that this edge is on just on the inside of that card edge there, and set that into place. And there, I think that makes a more interesting inside than just a band of color. So there we have the inside of the card and the outside pretty well done. Now I have a few little embellishments to add to it, and what I'm using is I am using the black rhinestones, and I'll have you know this is the end of my stash. I've got a box coming, so hopefully I'll have lots more black rhinestones. I just love them, and I've been finding all kinds of ways to using them down to the bare bones here. So I thought I would put some of these big black ones in the centers of these flowers here, and there, and on the card itself. I think I can get away with one here and one more right here. It's a good thing I don't have to make another card. All right, so using that, and then I'm using the glitter enamel dots here, and I thought they looked kind of pretty just pushed around a little bit, and I put various ones in different places, and I used one of these very big dark ones right in here, and then, you know, different little shades of the green, and just trying to dot them around on the card here to add a little bit of interest. I think they're just so pretty. Stick one up here in the corner, and maybe one more dark one right down here. So there we go. And I didn't put any on the inside. Well, let's see. Maybe we could put a couple of these dark green ones just to mirror the outside of the card. I'm going to put 3 of them, I think. And just to add a little more visual interest to the inside of the card. There we go. All right. That is our project for the day. And like I said, this is really a pretty fast little card. There's some fussy cutting to do, and once you get your fussy cutting done, boy, this one comes together really fast. And again, we've done a little bit of stamping, very little, and we've let the DSP do the work for us. This is one of the ones that I like to think of as fast and beautiful. And so that's the project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by and visiting my YouTube channel. I didn't get any videos up last week. I was away on a 3-day retreat, and it just didn't work out that I got some done ahead of time. So I'll try and put up an extra one this week to kind of make up for it. Anything you see here can be purchased on my online store, albedinger.stampinup.net. www.albedinger.stampinup.net. And let's see, the prize draw, which was the Merry Little Labels bundle, was won by Sharon Slaughter. In fact, I've got to get an email off to her. And once I get that shipped in, Sharon, it'll be on its way to you. And the prize draw this time is the Soft Sayings kit in the catalog. And I'm going to get up and grab the catalog just so that I can show you. It is on pages 11 and 10 and 11 in the catalog. And I thought this one was just so pretty. This is what it makes up, and it's one of these kits that is a complete kit. So if you're new to Paper Pumpkin, you'll get a clear block to mount your stamps on. You'll get this great stamp set. There's congratulations, thanks, just a note, love you lots, happy birthday to my dear friend, hope your day is great, I miss you, I'm happy you're in my life. There's some flowers and some leaves. It is just great. It's a very versatile stamp set. Then you'll see that it comes with 2 different sizes of envelopes. And look at these envelopes. They've got extra watercolor wash on the back flaps. Isn't that neat? It's got these little gold embellishments, which you can see over here on the card are used in different ways. And I think with a little bit of imagination and a little bit of extra white cardstock, you could probably come up with 30 cards or more with this set. And it comes complete with ink and a block and punch outs and embellishments and everything you need to make the 20 that they demonstrate showing here. And like I said, with some imagination, maybe what I'll do is take my kit and do some alternatives so people can see how you could use this a bit differently. And so that's what the prize draw is for October. And if you put in an order for me of $25 or more, you get a product gift or a handmade gift from me, and everybody that puts in an order with me goes into the drawing for that kit. So thanks again for watching my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. I'm happy to help if you have questions. I love hearing from people, so don't hesitate to contact me. And until next time, bye.